Hello, thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to be reading a fun version of Goldilocks and the Three Bears. It's called Dustylocks and the Three Bears, and it's written by Susan Lowell, and it's illustrated by Randy Cecil. Here's the title page. Ooh. Once upon a time, way out west, there were three grizzly bears who lived together in a neat and tidy cabin in the woods. One was a little bitty bear cub, just knee-high to a bumblebee. One was a mild-mannered, middle-sized mama, and one was a great big humpback, gray-haired grizzly, 9 feet tall, and cross as 2 sticks. They each had a dish to eat their beans from, a little saucer for the bear cub, a tin plate for the mama bear, and a great big turkey platter for the great big grizzly bear. And they each had a seat to sit on, a 3-legged stool for the bear cub, a rocking chair for mama bear, and a great big lumpy stump for the great big grizzly bear. And they each had a bed to sleep in, a little straw mattress for the bear cub, a feather bed for the mama bear, and a great big heap of prickly green branches for the great big grizzly bear. Well, one day while their red-hot beans were cooling in their 3 dishes, the bears went out for a walk. And just as soon as they turned their grizzly backs, something strange came blowing out of the woods. A cloud of smoke? A swarm of mosquitoes? No siree. It was a dirty little girl, and she hadn't had a bath for a whole month of Sundays, so everybody called her Dustylocks. But Trouble was her middle name. That little outlaw had run away from home without stopping to kiss her mother goodbye. First, Dustylocks peeked in the bear's window. Then she squinted through the keyhole of the cabin door. Finally, she barged right straight in. Those grizzlies were fine, upstanding, law-abiding citizens, honest as the day is long, and they never locked their door. "Beans!" cried Dustylocks. "Yahoo! I'm so hungry I could eat a saddle blanket." Now, if the bears had been there, they would have shown true Western hospitality and said, "Sit right down and dig in." But crusty little Dustylocks didn't even wait to be asked. She took a bite of the big grizzly's beans. Mmm. At first, Dustylocks smacked her lips, but then she let out a yell. "Ow-wee!" A wildfire flamed inside her mouth. She howled louder than 10,000 coyotes, and Dustylocks said a very bad word. You see, the big grizzly bear liked his beans chock full of chili peppers. "Too hot," gasped Dustylocks. When the fire died down, Dustylocks took a bite of Mama Bear's beans. But Mama liked hers plain. No salt, no nothing, said Dustylocks and spat them out. She had no more manners than a pig in a peach orchard. Then she took a bite of Bear Cub's beans. "Just right," said Dustylocks, and she gobbled them up, licked the saucer clean, and burped. Next, Dustylocks sat on the great big grizzly's stump. "I'm rough and tough," she bragged. But it was even too lumpy and bumpy for her. Then she tried Mama Bear's rocking chair, but it had too many fancy-dancy cushions for her, so she plunked herself down upon the bear cub's 3-legged stool. "Just right," said Dustylocks. But that heavy little roughneck sat the poor stool straight into the ground. This made her madder than a half-squashed hornet. She kicked the pieces out of her way and stomped upstairs. "Running away is hard work," said Dustylocks, all tuckered out. First, she threw herself down on the big heap of green branches that belonged to the great big grizzly. But the branches itched, and they pricked, and they jabbed, and they stabbed Dustylocks something terrible. So she jumped up and down till she stamped them into sprigs. Next, she flopped onto Mama Bear's feather bed. "Oh," sighed Dustylocks, "mighty fine." But then she sank down deeper and deeper and deeper and, "Oh," cried Dustylocks, "too soft. Get me out of here." And then she tested the bear cub's little straw mattress, and it was neither too hard nor too soft. "Just right," said Dustylocks, and she covered herself up and fell fast asleep. Meanwhile, the grizzlies came home from their hike. At first, they figured their tiny cabin had been struck by a sandstorm. But when the great big grizzly took a look at his dinner, he got riled. "Someone's been eating my beans," he growled in his great big rough gruff voice. "Someone has been eating my beans," said Mama Bear in her mild-mannered, middle-sized voice. And someone's been eating my beans too, and has eaten them all up, squeaked the bear cub in his little bitty baby voice. Now, Dustylocks had tipped over the stump. Someone's been sitting in my chair, growled the big bear in his great big grouchy voice. And Dustylocks had dumped the cushions on the floor. Someone's been sitting in my chair, said Mama Bear in her middle-sized voice. And someone's been sitting in my chair and smashed it all to flinders, squeaked the bear cub in his little bitty bigger voice than before. The great big grizzly got really riled. Bean rustler, he roared. Chair buster. And the three bears galloped upstairs looking for trouble. The first thing they found was a heap of stomped sprigs. Someone's been lying in my bed, growled the big bear in his great big gruesome voice. Then they saw feathers scattered from here to breakfast. Someone's been lying in my bed, said Mama Bear in her middle voice. And then they saw the little straw mattress with a rumpled blanket and a dusty, dirty head upon the pillow. Someone's been lying in my bed, and here she is, squeaked the bear cub in the biggest voice he had. Well, I'll be bum-fuzzled, growled the great big bear, scratching his grizzly gray head in amazement. Land sakes, said Mama Bear. Smells mighty whiffy in here. P.U., squeaked the bear cub. Is it a skunk? When Dustylocks heard the big grizzly's voice in her sleep, she dreamed of thunder and lightning. And when she heard Mama Bear's voice, she dreamed of her own mother. But when she heard the bear cub squeak, she dreamed she had a bug in her ear, and she woke right up. And when she saw three grizzly bears staring at her, Dustylocks was so scared that she tumbled out of bed, took a flying leap through the open window, and made tracks for home. She vamoosed so fast the dust didn't settle for a week. The moment Dustylocks' mother got a hold of that dirty little desperado, she dunked her in the bathtub, and then she scolded, and then she scrubbed, and then she rubbed, and she hugged, and she kissed Dustylocks into a whole new girl entirely. And the three grizzly bears never saw her again. Or if they did, they never recognized her. The end.